On this week's show, there will no longer be live classes on Wednesdays, and Lil Jon brought the energy to Peloton.
Plus, Tobias Heinze has left Peloton, but all remaining instructors have signed new contracts, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 183 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm John Pruitt. I'm joined this week once again by my co-host Chris Lewis, while Amanda is still off vacationing, doing fun stuff.
How's it going?
Good. Been a nice relaxing week for the most part, with the break now that we're in the middle of from the 4th of July. But yeah. How's it been going on your end?
It's been going good. Same as last week, trying to stay cool and everything. But, like you said, It's been a slower week for some things. But, there's actually been a surprising number of classes dropping on demand compared to some past years. So they've still kept up the content a little bit, it seems like, over this break.
Yeah, we got some 4th of July classes to talk about. Did you get your air conditioning issues resolved from
last week? I
thankfully
did. We are back up and running, full steam ahead. So luckily it was a 5-minute repair when someone knew how to do it and they had the part in their truck. So they were able to get us up and running again.
Not a whole $10,000 unit, fortunately.
Thankfully not. It looks like we're going to get another year out of it at least. So we'll take that as a win.
That's good. Well, things are going good on my end.
Good.
These breaks are nice in the sense for me because I can get caught up on so much stuff that I've bookmarked or added to my stack that I just keep, dismissing.
The always growing stack.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is always almost always maxed out at 10. So I have to keep removing stuff to squeeze other things in there because they limit you to just adding 10 classes in there.
I will make a quick plug, though. If you do want to play with longer bookmark lists and multiple bookmark lists, be sure to check out the Domestique app where you can make multiple lists and automatically push those to your stack. So if you've not checked that out yet, it's domestique.net, and you can, do multiple bookmark lists, which you can, if you log in, automatically push to your stack. So might be worth checking out for some people who have that same issue with, stacks hitting 10 and things like that.
I have really been enjoying that website for just searching music because it makes it so much easier to search specific music songs as well.
Yeah, you can actually search for song titles on there, which you can't do in other places.
Yeah, and I was randomly on there searching because I wanted to see when the last time somebody played Dire Straits, because I was randomly listening to Money for Nothing in the car, and I was like, damn, I haven't heard this song in a class. And there's obviously no Dire Straits on the platform because nothing came up. So obviously it's a restricted artist, unfortunately. But yeah, it's perfect for a lot of different things. Anyways, before we jump into the show, we always like to remind you, this is Amanda's part that I'm doing, but we always like to remind you where you can find us on social media. We're on pretty much every platform: TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to us there on those platforms, hit notifications, and we're also on all traditional podcast platforms, so you can always listen to us if you're on the go and just want to hear the audio. Be sure to leave us a review. We really do appreciate those 5-star reviews that we receive, and we really do appreciate the feedback on ways that we can enhance and improve the show. So please keep those coming, and we also enjoy reading those on the show from time to time. So we really do value when we hear from you about the show. With that, why don't we jump right into the show?
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
All right, well, our first update this week caused a bit of commotion when it was announced this week. Peloton has announced that they will no longer be doing live classes at all on Wednesdays. This is going to start effective on July 17th, so in a week and a half from now. In addition to the no live classes at all on Wednesdays, there will also be no live classes on Thursdays from London. However, on Thursdays, they'll still be doing live classes from New York, so Thursdays, you'll still have at least some live classes that you have the ability to take Peloton did say when they were announcing this that they were doing this to enable them to have time, energy, and other things to work on new programming, bringing content to new audiences and new ways to engage the community outside of the outside of the classroom. So we're not sure what that's going to look like yet, but they did tease that more strength programming would be coming because of this. They also teased that there would be new cross-modality training, which potentially seems like more of those strengths for golfers type programs that we just saw. So yeah, that was announced on, I believe that was Tuesday. They announced that. Just with a press release, Peloton Studios hasn't officially posted anything about that yet, but we've now looked at the upcoming schedule, and that's going to start on July 17th.
And it looks like, I know a lot of folks were concerned because a lot of our favorite classes, weekly classes that occur, are on Wednesdays, such as Maddie's 30-minute walk and talk. And I know a lot of people, and I guess that's already now been moved to Tuesday mornings,
correct,
at least.
That's the regular. That seems to be the new regular time spot. Will be Tuesdays at 9 a.m. for the walk and talk.
I was also concerned about
Alex's, that has been moved as well based on the schedule. I believe that was either Tuesdays or Thursdays, I think. But that has been moved as well, it seems like. So it seems like some of them will be moved. I'm sure not everything is going to have a direct one-to-one comparison. And in an interview, I did see it mentioned that some instructors may end up teaching less classes because of this change. So not every instructor is going to have every class replaced. And, every year, once or twice a year, they do have kind of a seasonal schedule change. Obviously nothing like this where they're just like, we're not teaching on this day anymore, but there's always, regular classes moving around. So it seems like this change was tied to one of those regular summer seasonal schedule changes.
Yeah, I was, and I was worried about Alex because he only teaches on the tread once a week. So it's like they really had to place him somewhere else, obviously, for his weekly club bangers run. So it's good to see that's been shifted around.
Yeah, maybe with this change too, maybe Mariana will get a regular weekly spot on the tread. She's just been subbing in essentially, filling in here and there, and not had that regular spot yet. So maybe as they're doing these changes, we'll get that regular spot. And one quick final thought. There were a couple smaller things in there that we'll be looking at in the upcoming weeks. Nothing major, but we'll be covering this in a little bit more detail in the coming days and weeks, just to look at some of the other small things that they mentioned in there. So we might highlight that a little bit more in next week's episode.
Yeah, stay tuned for more info. Well, shifting gears now, Tobias Heinze, one of the German Peloton instructors, has announced he is leaving the company. So just this past week on June 30th, Tobias shared that he's leaving, stating, I've decided to step down from my position as Peloton trainer. In a statement, Peloton said the following about his departure. Separate from the recent contract process, German instructor Tobias Heinze will also be parting ways with Peloton as of today. We wish Tobias the best in his next chapter. And they're obviously referring to the earlier statement that Peloton had released last week, saying that the departures of Ross Rayburn, Kristen McGee, and Kendall Toole were all related to contract negotiations. Tobias, he doesn't have any classes, obviously, any remaining upcoming classes on the schedule. There was no farewell class that was tied to this. As the statement said from Peloton, he's leaving as of today. So it was immediate, very, very abrupt, kind of surprising.
Yeah, there was no, like some of the other ones were like Ross announced in April that he was leaving this summer, which ended up being June. Kristen posted at the beginning of June, and then Kendall was a week or so later, but they were all, in a couple weeks, and then there were farewell or just last classes. And this was just, I'm leaving. The one thing Tobias did announce that him and the It's Tea Time community were going to do kind of a farewell stack. And that was taking place today on Sunday at 5 a.m. Eastern. So by the time this comes out, it will already have taken place. But he was going to be on the leaderboard with some of his Tea Time community, doing a stack of some of his old classes as kind of a farewell replacement for some of that community. And that was going to be earlier this morning.
I had always heard that as part of a Peloton instructor's contract, they were always there was always something in there that they had to do a farewell class that was tied into that contract if they left, which is why you normally would get that for most instructors before they departed. So yeah, it was very odd the way, it was just like, I'm gone. It was just so abrupt. So it was surprising the way he left.
Entirely abrupt because he had been missing from the schedule for a little bit. In May, I believe it was, they had announced that he was going to have his own signature series called, I believe, is Unleashed. That was announced 1 week, and that was supposed to take place the next week, and the premiere of that just never happened. It just disappeared off the schedule. He was also scheduled to be part of the London Calling German Community Weekend, which took place last weekend on June 29th or 30th, that Saturday.
But he was absent for it.
But a week before that, his class was removed, and it was replaced with a class by a different instructor. And, some of his classes has just been disappearing off the live schedule. So he had just not been on the live schedule for a little bit. So this wasn't entirely abrupt. The announcement of I'm gone effective today was abrupt, but we had seen some questions coming in about what was going on with that. We had just not heard anything official until I believe that was Sunday, where it was just I'm gone.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, along that line, as part of the statement Peloton put out regarding Tobias's departure, they actually clarified that all other remaining instructors have signed new contracts. So they'd alluded to that in a statement 2 weeks ago, but they came out a little more clearly in this statement. They did say that they had not said anything yet because of the length of the process and out of respect for the instructors. They said they'd been working on that for over a year. And we've kind of seen that. I think Jess Sims, it was in February, I think, had gotten on Reddit during an AMA and said, I'm working on my new contract. And we know Cody, a month or two ago, had said he signed a new contract. So not everyone's come out and said it, but based on this statement, all of the other remaining instructors have signed those new contracts. Now, contracts aren't ironclad. I'm sure there's still clauses and ways instructors, if they change their mind and, just don't want to come back or can still leave. So it's no means guaranteed that every instructor is going to be there for a year or 3 years or however long these contracts are. But I think it's just an indication that Peloton is not expecting any to be leaving in the near immediate future because of the contract negotiations they were going through.
Right. Because a lot of people were starting to show concern on social media.
Yeah, I mean, you see 3 leave, you're not sure what's going on. So this felt like this statement felt like a reaction to that concern and to try to, put some of those concerns to rest. But
calm some of those fears, yeah.
Yeah, but again, contracts aren't ironclad. I'm sure there's, scenarios and just contracts can be bought out, whatever. So it's by no means a guarantee that absolutely no one is going to be leaving in the next year.
Yeah. Well, the wait is almost over for those who have been anxiously waiting for that Taylor Swift Tortured Poets Department Artist Series. Last week, we had shared on the Pelo Buddy platforms that Robin had pre-recorded a 30-minute Taylor Swift Tortured Poets ride. I guess you even snagged the
thumbnail,
the thumbnail of her doing the tortured poet picture pose from the album Taylor Swift. But we said at the time we didn't know an exact release date. I know folks who received the invitation who were in that class were told that the class would drop 2 weeks from the date when it was recorded. But it was still kind of a mystery. But now it appears that the class is currently scheduled to be released next Thursday on July 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern time, presumably
which is that 2 week mark from when it was recorded.
Right. Correct. And the pre-recorded ride, it now has a date of July 11th in Peloton's system. So that should be, in fact, the release date. But there's always a chance that it could just be a placeholder and there could be an updated date added at some point. If by some chance that July 11th, it doesn't come to fruition, and it doesn't take place that date, we expect to look for it to take place the following week on July 18th, because the studio booking website and also on the schedule right now in the app, it lists a Jack Antonoff artist series, who is has collaborated on numerous Taylor Swift. He's co-written lots of different songs. Taylor Swift, Cruel Summer, most notably, I think, one of his biggest ones with her. But, Swifties have been speculating now.
And looking at that Jack Antonoff artist schedule, like I know when people were looking at the pop classes that were on July 11th, they're like, some of the people I might expect to be doing Taylor Swift aren't listed. Now, of course, there could be some recorded on demand or some surprise ones put live. But the Jack Antonoff ones on July 18th, you've got Ally Love doing a ride. You've got Mariana Fernandez doing a yoga flow. Camila had teased that she was recording something that members would be very excited about. She's got a premiere Jack Antonoff run on the 18th as well. So, with it being a Jack Antonoff, there could be some Taylor Swift in there anyway. Or it's Peloton just really... I've to date never seen them load an artist series as one artist name and swap it to another. And it'd be surprising if they had loaded the Robin classes July 11th to only then change it again to July 18th. So it probably is going to be on the 11th, but there's just enough there that could indicate it could also be on the 18th.
And there's several classes right now on the schedule for July 11th that are just labeled pop classes, but they could obviously be changed to Tortured Poets Department, as we near the July 11th date, because right now there's a July 11th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time class scheduled, a 30-minute pop bar with Ally. There's a 30-minute pop that's scheduled to premiere on July 11th on the afternoon with Jeffrey McEachern. There's an Aditi Shah 30-minute pop yoga flow on that date. And there's an Olivia 30-minute pop run in the evening in the 7 p.m. Eastern time slot on July 11th that obviously could potentially be TTPD. So, hopefully we don't have to wait another week. Hopefully it's next week. It's coming.
Right.
I thought they were going to push out these classes that were already pre-recorded over the 4th of July break.
Because we know some years, like that used to be a big thing over the Christmas holidays. Like that's actually when the very first ever Taylor Swift artist series came out. That was the surprise.
The Red, was it the Red class?
I believe so, yeah. Well, speaking of Taylor's Red ride, that is included in a brand new class collection that just came out called the Greatest Hits of All Time. This is a new class collection that was released that contains some of our most popular classes across every discipline all in one place. Right now, there's 28 classes in there, including the Red Taylor's Version ride. There's the Hamilton ride, Beyonce, Greatest Showman, Britney Spears, Lizzo, Eminem. There's also just some of the, Emma has a core class or two that's been taken over a million times. That's in there. We've just got some, there's a sampling of classes in there. I think there's 15 different instructors who have taught classes in that collection currently. I'm sure it'll be updated over time, but that was just released. That follows last week. They actually came out with greatest hits from Kristen, greatest hits from Ross, and greatest hits from Kendall. And that was highlighting the best classes from those three specific instructors. They've taken that concept now and taken it across the platform. So now it's just one place. 28 classes to start off with. I'm sure everyone's favorite is not going to be in there. So hopefully we'll see them add classes over time to that collection.
But it's nice. It's just an easier way to find some of these, gems, these older treasures. I know a lot of folks were speculating, and as soon as they saw the Taylor Swift collection at the bottom of their screen on hardware, they were like, oh, it's coming, it's happening. So hopefully that's another positive indication.
And on the app, I believe the collection is moved up towards the top as well. So when you're looking at it there, it's now in the home. You don't have to scroll to see it now. It's in the first part of the view. So it seemed, they've pre-recorded the class. We know it's coming. It's just a question of when.
Yeah. Well, Peloton released a new batch of their walking meditation classes. This week, Peloton released a new set of 5 of those, including one from recently departed instructor Ross Rayburn. You'll find these new classes in the outdoor section of the Peloton app rather than the meditation section. But these new ones include a 20-minute morning walking meditation with Dennis. These are all from released on July 3rd, by the way. A 10-minute breathing walking meditation with Ross. A 15-minute walking body scan meditation with Mariana. a 15-minute mindful walking meditation with Kira Michelle, and a 20-minute calming walking meditation with Anna Greenberg. And when this class type was first made available, the walking meditations back then, they did not track your distance, even though they were designed as walks to be done outdoors or on your tread. But however, in these past few months, Peloton has made some updates to this, and now your Peloton app will actually track your mileage as you take the walking meditation classes. So this includes, creating the GPS route for your activity as well, if you have that feature enabled on the app.
Yeah, I will say I did hear from one person, and they were trying to see if it counted towards the running walking challenge, and it doesn't appear that it counts towards the challenge. So if you're hoping for those miles for the challenge, just double check. It could be being updated or it could have been a glitch, but you just might want to double check if you're hoping those miles will count towards that challenge.
Gotcha.
Well, speaking of artist series, I know we shared last week that the Lil Jon artist series was going to be taking place last week, and we had shared that Lil Jon would be in the classes. They took place just after we recorded, so we unfortunately weren't able to talk about them. So I just wanted to share a little bit because multiple people have been saying these are the best classes they've ever taken on the platform. There were two classes in particular where Lil Jon had showed up to. The first was a 10-minute meditation, which was co-led by Dr. Chelsea Jackson Roberts and Lil Jon. So he wasn't just in there on one of the 7 mats like a member. He was up there at the front of the stage with Chelsea, co-leading the meditation. For those who don't know, he actually has 2 meditation albums that came out this year. So he has a little bit of experience there, and it was the songs from that class were from one of his meditation albums. So that was just kind of a unique experience of having an artist help co-lead that class. After that, he actually popped over to the cycling studio for Alex Toussaint's Club Bangers ride, and this was Club Bangers featuring Lil Jon. And when the class starts, you see the DJ booth like DJ John Michael is at, and Lil Jon is there. So he's doing a DJ, but he doesn't just stay there. He was exploring the space, and he had a microphone. And this class was, everybody was raving about it, and rightly so, because it was an amazingly fun class. And they had a Steadicam person. So that was really cool. You saw just the camera cameras literally following,
tracking. Throughout the studio. I did it live. It was amazing. And I posted a clip from it, I think, a few days later, but I know, at one point Ash and Camilla came out, they had the lights shine on them, and they were kind of, the hype girls. And they had these sort of LED flashlights that they were waving around. And then at one point, Lil Jon offered everybody in the studio water shots. So everybody basically got a shot glass, presumably of water. And then Camilla and Ash joined Alex on stage where they cheersed with their shot glasses. And what was funny was Camilla took her shot, and then she winced and sort of almost gagged on it. Like it was, I don't know if it was real alcohol or if it was,
I think she was just playing up the bit.
The reaction was priceless. But an absolutely fantastic ride.
I will say though, there was, unfortunately, they did not play the shot song during the meditation. That wasn't the vibe they were going for in the meditation.
Understandable.
And they actually finished the class with Lil Jon came up on the stage, and they kind of closed out the class with him on stage. And not only was he DJing, he was actually singing some of the songs during the class as well. So his DJ, he was singing. So even if you're not super familiar with his music, you might want to take this class just to see all those unique elements that were in there. We don't see a Steadicam ever all that often.
You don't get that,
so there's just lots of unique things to check out if you haven't yet. And that was from the June 27th at the meditation was, I believe, 6:15, and then the Club Bangers was at either 7 or 7:30 Eastern.
I think it was at 7:30 that night. But absolutely, it flew by. It was the fastest 30 minutes on the bike. But I do need to do the meditation. But the ride was amazing.
Yes.
Well, shifting over to the tread, Selena Samuela, for folks that have been asking for a longer run option, we have a new one courtesy of Selena Samuela. a new 75-minute 2000s run. It's an audio only. It dropped just this past week on July 4th, but it's got music. I just, took a quick peep at the playlist, but you got The Killers, Nelly Furtado, Katy Perry, Radiohead, Audio Slave, Blink-182 to mention those ones. But that is now on there, available to take.
And as a reminder, it is an audio-only outdoor class, but as of the last month or two, the Peloton Tread and Tread Plus now has the ability to play those audio-only classes. So if you don't want to get out in the summer heat, if it's hot where you are, you can still, even though it's an audio-only class, you can now take that on the Tread or Tread Plus if you want.
Good point.
Well, I know we've mentioned it several times, but we had 3 Peloton instructors who left recently. They did have their final classes last week. The one thing that we wanted to highlight was there were 19,000 people who ended up taking Kendall's farewell live ride. That was just a huge amount of people on there. Normally we only see those numbers for turkey burn rides, essentially. Like every now and then there'll be a ride that hits that much. But yeah, there were over 17,000 people on the hardware, another 2,000 plus on the bike who joined for that class live. Thankfully, there were no issues with the servers or anything. Like there were no widespread reports of issues. Played smoothly for everyone. The leaderboard wasn't really having issues. So it was, good to see that Peloton was able to support a high number of people on Kendall's farewell class. Ross and Kristen also had farewell classes. The yoga classes, just no yoga class has ever been as well attended as a cycling class. So there were obviously not nearly as many, but there were thousands of people on Kristen's, I believe. And I think the same for Ross's. So, they both had a good amount of people on their farewell. Their last live classes, they were not officially labeled farewell, but they were the last live classes. But as we saw, Ross actually had a class released 2 days ago. So you might have 1 or 2, pre-banked classes that still drop here and there.
Yeah. I did the class, the Kendall farewell ride live, and Jackie actually wrote it with me at the same time. What's interesting, just a random tidbit, we canceled one of our memberships because we have 2 bikes. So whenever she wants to ride her bike, she always transfers the membership. So we tested something out. It actually worked. So I joined the class on my bike first. And then while I was on there in the pre-show, with the class streaming, she transferred the membership to her bike. And we were both able to do the class simultaneously without me getting knocked out. So it was just
interesting,
just a random thing. If you have 2 bikes, it was actually, it worked. So it was like, if I get knocked off, you can take the ride, but it worked out actually.
Interesting.
In the end. Yeah. Well, 4th of July classes. We have a bunch this year. Peloton, they gave us 4 classes in celebration of the 4th of July or Independence Day in the U.S. We got a 20-minute 4th of July arms and shoulders from Rebecca, a 15-minute row from Adrian, a 30-minute ride from Emma, and a 20-minute run from Andy that all dropped in the morning on the 4th of July. And according to the live class schedule, all of the 2024 4th of July classes and also encored later in the day that morning as well.
Yeah, I think they were trying to give the West Coast audience the same time slots that they had premiered at. So it was 3 hours later that they did those premieres. In addition, July 1st was Canada Day. And while Peloton didn't have official Canada Day classes, they did have 3 classes they released that featured all Canadian artists and playlist. Olivia Amato had a run, Rebecca Kennedy had a glutes and leg strength, and Emma Lovewell had a ride. There is a Made in Canada class collection from a few years ago. They did update that to put these classes in there, but they just didn't label them as Canada classes. They did on Peloton Studios social media kind of point people to those classes and say, hey, it's Canada Day, go check out these classes. They just weren't officially labeled as so. In addition, this week, as John just said, the studios were closed for the 4th. They did release on-demand classes. Thursdays are normally the days they release new studio classes for members to book 5 weeks out or 35 days out. There were none released this week. Last week, with no announcement and no sharing they were going to do this, they actually released 2 weeks worth of classes last week. So I guess they knew they were not going to
studio booking
on the studio
site
booking for members.
Book.
Yep.
Okay.
So last week they released August 1st and 2nd and 7th and 8th. Normally this week they would have released that 7th and 8th weekend to members to book. But I guess they just planned with the holiday. They released 2 weeks last week, nothing this week. So we expect next week them to get back to that regular schedule.
Okay.
We'd seen some questions of, what's going on? Why didn't they release classes this week? But we did notice last week.
The 4th of July was on Thursday. So
right. I would have thought
sense.
that they would have, last Wednesday, they actually said, hey, tomorrow on Thursday, we're going to release the July Artist Series classes. I would have thought they would have said, and by the way, we're going to release 2 weeks worth of classes because of the holiday, but they didn't, and they just did it. So that's why there were no releases this past week.
Gotcha. Well, we've got this week at Peloton to give you to go over. This is for the week of July 1st to the 7th. Now, the first item, it's from Friday, the previous week, but it's lumped into the July 1st through the 7th. And that is Hannah Carbon's final installment of this season of Country Happy Hour, which is on demand currently. It's a 30-minute ride that Hannah taught on Friday afternoon, June 28th. And it features country music artist Mickey Guyton, who was in the studio taking the class. And Kirsten Ferguson was also in attendance in the studio for this final ride as well in the series. Next up, we've got a 30-minute full-body stretch with Adrienne Williams. That's in the on-demand library currently. It's from Monday, July 1st. And then the new walking meditations, which are now in the system, which we mentioned earlier, for Mariana, Kiara, Dennis, Ross, and Anna. And then lastly, this week, a new lane break ride in the Peloton X Defected Wreckers collection dropped on demand on Wednesday, July 3rd. This is a 20-minute house ride.
Nice. Well, one small change Peloton has made is related to their monthly challenges. Every month, if you want to, you can join a challenge to do cycling, running, yoga, and it just gives you a badge depending on how many days or miles you do in that workout. One of those they've historically had has been the monthly running challenge. They've made a small change and it's now called the running and walking challenge. So walking distances and workouts have historically counted. It's just never been super clear that that's been the case. So Peloton has renamed the challenge to the running and walking challenge to make that more clear for members. That's not the only change they made recently. I know we shared a couple weeks ago that for the first time, they've had monthly meditation and yoga challenges, and those are continuing forward as well. So you have those two choices for new challenges if you wish to do those as well.
Nice. Well, Peloton is running another apparel sale. This is going through Monday, July 8th, but it's most items. It's site-wide. It's most items are 50% off currently. So hop in there now. You still have another day. It's Sunday right now when this episode's coming out, so you still got a little bit of time left. But a lot of heavily discounted items there.
Yeah, and speaking of discounts, Peloton is also quietly offering discounts on their hardware. Now, this isn't publicly available sale. You can't just go to the homepage of the website and find it. They've actually bundled this with their referral discount. Normally with the referrals, the person you're referring might get $100 off an accessory kit, but through July 9th, they're actually offering discounts off the hardware itself. The amount varies based on which device you're getting. It's $200 off a bike, $200 off a row, $400 off a tread, $500 off a bike plus, or $700 off a tread plus. The other thing they're doing as part of this is that if someone uses your referral during this limited time promotion, rather than the $100 of apparel credit, you're actually going to get 2 months worth of free membership. So which
I like now, because
some people will like it, some people won't. Yeah. So, on the one hand, if you've gotten credits in the past, you might have all the apparel you want or need. So membership's just as good, if not better. But on the other hand, some people pointed out, well, it's $100 apparel credit, but it's a $44 monthly membership. So if you're getting 2 months of that, it's $88 worth of membership versus $100 worth of apparel. So, some
plus
people
plus tax, it's almost $100. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Depending on what state you live in, how much tax you're getting.
Right.
That's what they used to do way back in the day.
Right.
In the early days when you referred somebody, you got 1 or 2 months.
And there was no
free.
limit back then either.
Yeah.
So I know some people, there were some people that referred so much that I think they're still working through
their membership,
their free membership through today. But like I said, this discount is only through the referral. So you need to have a friend who has a referral code. If you don't have a referral code, feel free to send us a Pelo Buddy a message. We can get you one. If we've hit our limit, I'm sure John or Amanda, if they haven't, we can hook you up with theirs. So just let us know if you need a referral code to get that discount. And that is through July 9th.
So you give somebody your normal referral code, because I received an email with a link and somebody had messaged me.
They're not really pushing the code anymore. They're now doing it through these custom links. And when you click the link, it takes you to a landing page that says what type of hardware are you wanting to look at. And it breaks down to the discount by that. And then when you click into whichever hardware, it preloads the code and discount to it.
Okay.
So it's a little more seamless with a link, but it's just, you can't memorize your code and just say, oh, my code's XYZ. You have to have that link now.
Yeah. Gotcha. It's good to know. All right. Well, shifting now, going right into instructors in the news. First up, Golf Digest interviewed Selena about her new strength program for golfers in an article titled "How One Fitness Instructor's Golf Passion Led to Peloton's First Golf Program." Selena, when asked about it, Selena had said, "I've been asking for a while to create a program like this, and I was just seeing such great results for myself," she said. "I love coaching strength in general, but I think there's something really special about coaching strength for athletes specifically, and knowing you could get a result on the other side." And she went on to talk about more in detail about the program. She said, "You have to be realistic about who is on the platform that would be interested." She goes, "Rory McIlroy doesn't need my program, but a scratch golfer certainly can get a lot out of it." So she said, her husband her husband Matt has been taking her mobility class on repeat, and she's got I don't know how many currently she has available, the strength for golfers, but there's a few. There were right now in the library. 3 mobility and 5 strength classes as part of that. So you can either take it in the collection, in the program, or this is one of the first programs ever where they just said, okay, it's in the program or it's an on-demand library, which I think is smart personally. Right. Doesn't force you to go in order or anything like that. Yeah, that's nice. Well, Kendall Toole has announced the first thing that she is up to next. She shared earlier this week that she is starting a new podcast that is going to be called Wholeheartedly with Kendall and Gailey. That is co-hosted by Kendall alongside her friend Gailey Alix. For those who aren't familiar with Gailey, she is the host of Home in a Heartbeat with Gailey, which airs on HGTV, and they've been longtime friends. Kendall shared earlier this spring that she was working on a project with Gailey. This seems to be at least part of what it is. I know during this week, Kendall has posted a couple times. This is the first announcement of many coming up. So, she has some other stuff in the works, but this is just the first thing. They are going to be weekly episodes on Wednesdays, and the first episode is going to be coming out on July 17th. So if you want to tune into that, you can search for Wholeheartedly with Kendall and Gailey. Yeah, and I know a lot of folks, they were up in arms about you stealing Kendall's thunder, Chris Lewis. But I mean, come on, let's be realistic. It wasn't like you were getting the scoop on some life news, like she was pregnant or married or anything. I mean, this podcast platform obviously pushed out, so you happened to see it. So come on, let's relax a little bit. Since we're on podcasts, I have to say I'm really enjoying Cody's weekly podcast with his friend Andrew. I forget what it's called, but I think it comes out every Thursday or Friday. But they just talk about pop culture. It's very loose, but it's a very light, fun podcast. If you haven't checked out Cody's new podcast, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah,
I
I
think
believe
there's
it's
2 or 3 episodes now.
Yeah, and I believe it's called Tactful Pettiness if you want to search for that on podcast networks.
Yeah. And then Logan Aldridge has a new furry addition to his family now. He just got a puppy. So congratulations to him. He got a fox red Labrador puppy that he recently posted on social media. And her name is Miss Maple.
Yeah, lots of puppy content on his channel for the next little bit if you want to check that out. And then finally, Erik Jager is doing a fundraiser for his nonprofit. He did one of these last year, but it's called the Social Sports Day. That is actually taking place today in Berlin. There's lots of charity workouts. There's going to be, he's doing a bodyweight workout. Jeffrey McEachern is going to be there, and he's going to be doing a community run. And then Marcel Maurer is going to be there as well and be doing another bodyweight workout. In addition to those Peloton instructors, there's going to be some other well-known fitness trainers who are there. They're actually doing a lottery for several devices. One of the prizes is going to be a Peloton bike. One is a Garmin watch. One is a stay at the Berlin, what is it called? The Social Hub Berlin, which is a place that's taking place. So you could enter that online if you wanted to enter that raffle, but that is taking place today, and that's raising money for Erik's nonprofit.
Cool. Well, that wraps up instructors in the news. Let's jump right into class picks of the week, and I'll kick it off with the first one. It is from Cliff Dwanger, his 30-minute Lil Jon ride, which was in German from June 27th. We got that from Bertha C. Runs MD, and she said, also wanted to shout out Cliff's ride, which was also fire. No special effects, no special guests, but just an A+ playlist and Cliff rapping and dancing while biking along to the music. He's an amazing instructor with a great feel for music. Hope more people still riding the high of this artist series give him a try.
And speaking of him rapping and dancing, I'll just mention this real quick. We'll cover it next week. But Cliff actually just created and recorded and released his own rap gospel song. He recorded that with the big gospel choir, who's the group who's been doing his Sunday gospel classes. But he actually wrote his own song and recorded it with them. That's available on streaming platforms, and it's going to be included in one of his upcoming gospel rides as well. So we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I just wanted to mention that quickly and passing here.
All right, switching over, staying on the bike. Cody's 30-minute pop ride from June 27th. Lil Miss Pelo Mom said great energy and fun playlist. And then Chelsea Jackson Roberts, 10-minute Lil Jon meditation from June 27th. Armajar 3 said was really fun to see Lil Jon co-leading the meditation alongside Chelsea.
And then Alex Toussaint, his 30-minute Club Bangers ride featuring Lil Jon from the 27th. This came from Shannon78MM, I Miss Fabio Dennis, Almajar 3, Kim Carve 11, The Diva Lucia, and T Slays. They said this was one of the best rides on the platform. The energy from everyone was amazing. Having Lil Jon go from the DJ booth to the stage and everywhere else was great. Plus the special guest for the Shot song. This is a must take. We then have Matt Wilpers in his 30-minute pop run from the 28th at 7 a.m. Eastern. This was from Jess Yost. That said, great fun class, but be aware it's super hilly. We then have Ross Rayburn in his 30-minute yoga flow, which is his final live class from the 28th, 7:30 a.m. This came from Stephen J23, who said the final live class from Ross. Glad these will stay on demand for us to take.
All right, switching over to the tread. Susie Chan's 20-minute indie rock run from June 29th. Tracy C. said great playlist, and it's the first new Pace Target running class in a while since they came out earlier last month. And then Bradley Rose's 20-minute low-impact ride from June 29th. Armajar 3 said this low-impact ride had a great 70s playlist. Kristen McGee's 30-minute yoga flow from June 29th. From Mama Bear 109, she said Kristen's last live class shall be missed on the platform.
We then have Kendall Toole in her 30-minute farewell ride from the 29th at 2 p.m. This came from Lindsay T. Gamble, who said, I'll miss her, but it was great to join thousands of other people live for this class. We then have Leanne Hainsby Aldis's 30-minute camp ride from the 30th at 7 a.m. Eastern. This came from Tracy C., who said great music, outfit, and energy in this one. Then Rebecca Kennedy had a 60-minute full-body strength class from the 30th at 8 a.m. Eastern. This came from Spin Loving Mama, who said, great class format, including a killer finishing sequence. And normally Andy Spear would have that, hour-long class on Sunday, but he was actually down.
Yeah.
He was down in Tampa. I know we shared a couple months ago that he was doing an event at the Tampa baseball stadium. That took place over the weekend. So since he missed it, Rebecca stepped in and did a 60-minute class, and it sounds like people loved it from everything, like Spin Love and Mama said.
Yeah, he led they loved Rebecca's class or Andy's?
Rebecca's class, yeah.
Because I was looking at Andy's.
People always love Andy's TS60 classes. But it sounds like, if they could find a slot for Rebecca to have a regular 60 strength as well, people would be happy with that.
And I saw some social media posts of Andy's class. I didn't realize that he was teaching a class. I guess it was before the game, maybe in the empty Tampa Bay.
The most VIP
baseball stadium
class you could sign up for included a class on the field with Andy.
Yeah, and it was in the outfield, on the grass. I thought that was interesting. I asked him. I wasn't sure if he threw out the first pitch or anything, but I guess he was just teaching while he was down there.
Yeah, I guess I could have, but there were 3 different ticket levels you could sign up for, and the highest level one included the class, and then the others were kind of meet and greets, and they included a ticket to the game and a swag bag probably, but only one of the tiers got you that class.
All right, well, switching over to the bike now. Ben Aldis's 60-minute climb ride from June 30th. Violet Vibe said, superb playlist, need more 60-minute classes from Ben. And then going over to the row now, Alex Karwoski's 20-minute pop punk row from June 30th. Nat M. Mann said, great playlist with pop punk covers, including some nostalgia and great narrative from Alex. And then Jess King's 30-minute sweat steady walk. I think this was her inaugural sweat steady walk on the tread from June 30th. E. Dunks 226 said, love seeing her sweat steady series on the tread now.
And then we have Allie Love in her 30-minute 2000s pop ride from the 30th at 12 p.m. Eastern. This came from Shannon S. Reed, Hokey Dog Talk, and Bit of Brit, who said this was a great playlist, some good high cadence efforts over 100, and amazing energy. Super fun class. We then have Nico Serrani, who taught a 30-minute 80s yoga flow, which was in English from the 30th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. This came from Almajar3, who said this was a great, easy listening playlist in this one. Then we have Jess Sims and her Sims 60 2000s, which was from the 30th at 2 p.m. Eastern. This came from Buffalo Brit 13, who said fun class, yet very challenging too.
Right. Next up, Sam Yo's 30-minute Hidden Hills ride from July 2nd. Balloon Girl 1 said it was an amazing class because of the music. And then Hannah Frankson's 30-minute hip-hop ride from July 2nd. Tracy C. said Hannah had so much joy in this class as there was an NFL Vikings coach and player in the studio. Amazing playlist, too.
I heard this did have a great energy. So if you're it's not quite to the level of, Lil Jon being there, but if you're looking for, something a little exciting and different, that class from Hannah might be worth checking out because she was having a lot of fun, I heard, with the people in the studio for that one.
Nice. Emma Lovell's 30-minute classic rock walk from July 2nd. Hey, it's Eric M. and H. Sloan 07 said great class and playlist. Although calling 80s music classic rock makes me feel old. And yeah, I think I've had this conversation with other folks, but it's very subjective in terms of instructors. When you get a classic rock class, what they consider classic rock to be on that playlist. It's just, it's where we're at.
Yeah, I know there's some hard and fast rules for something to be called a Hills class, what that involves, but I don't think the rules are quite as hard and fast for it to be classic rock versus rock.
Yeah.
Well,
moving on.
Yeah,
you're taking it over.
We've got Rad Lopez in his 20-minute arms and shoulder strength from July 2nd at 12:30 p.m. This came from Julie MJ, who said workout has some good unilateral work and a great message at the end about self-love. We had Robin Arzon, who taught a 30-minute hit run, which was an audio outdoor class, which dropped on July 3rd at 11 a.m. Eastern. This came from Rachel Blaufeld, who said some good efforts in music. Also enjoy that these outdoor classes can now be taken on the tread. And then finally, we have Mariana Fernandez and her 15-minute walking body scan meditation that also dropped on the 3rd at 11 a.m. Eastern. This came from Beth HJMD, who said, these walking meditation classes are great. This is one of 5 that came out this week. And Mariana is great on both the mat and the tread.
Nice. Well, that wraps it up for this week. Next week, I think Amanda is finally back.
Amanda will be back. I will definitely be gone. So you and Amanda will take back over, and won't be here to distract you guys. So things will be back to normal next week.
We'll probably be going back to the longer format, obviously, because Amanda and I, we love to converse.
I will, we could talk about last week. We came in right about 30 minutes, and we said we'd work on expanding a little bit this week. And, we had 45 minutes or so this week. So,
we still had plenty to cover. So there's lots of still news, even in the holiday week.
I was going to say,
there's always something.
There really is. You think with the studio being closed for 4 days that maybe there'll just be nothing. We'll be looking like, oh, we don't have any stories to cover. Not the case this week. And looking at next week, you're going to have a long episode next week. I can go ahead and tell you that much. So
yeah, I know.
Hope everyone's ready.
We didn't even discuss. I'm sure it'll be in a story for next week. We didn't even discuss Chris McGee's got a retreat planned for France. Mm-hmm. Which I just saw her recently post in her stories to sign up for that. So obviously, stay tuned as we cover that in more detail on the next episode.
Yep.
Anyway, I guess that about wraps it up, Chris. Good to co-host with you once again. It's been fun.
Yeah, appreciate you letting me sit in, and hopefully we're just. I'm trying to get people through till Amanda gets back. So hopefully, people stay tuned in and things will be back to normal next week. Well, from me here in Atlanta, thanks for listening, and we'll see everyone next week.
Yes. And for me here in Michigan, appreciate you tuning in, watching, and listening. And as always, we will see you on the leaderboard. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag, and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.